It is Sunday, the 30th of August, and my friends, there is just 19 days until the 2015 Rugby World Cup. Welcome along, everyone, to a little weekend review of the rugby action we had over the last couple of days. Goodness me, by the time many of you maybe watch that, it could be Monday, the 31st of August, and that'll be just 18 days till the World Cup. That is less than 3 weeks. Things are getting pretty close now. It's time to get excited. It's time to get into it. And I'm here to bring you what a lot of you seem to be enjoying, a bit of a look back over the weekend of rugby. Now, I didn't do this one last week as I was away over the weekend. I didn't get a real good chance to see much of the England-France match and a couple of others that were on over that weekend. So we'll have a quick little look over them first. From about the 22nd of August, most of these games took place. Japan faced Uruguay, and that was a 30-8 win for the Japanese. Scotland and Italy had their first hit out of 2, and it was the Scots who got a close one. Just 4 points over the Italians. I think it was Henry Purgos who got a late try in that one to secure it for the Scots. Now, the big one was, of course, France getting revenge over the English from the week before, 25-20. That was a good match, the two, from what I've seen from it. England stormed back late on. A few players making a good dig for themselves in their World Cup squad, which has been announced, which we'll be covering again very soon, hopefully in the next couple or few days. This week definitely will be coming your way. So France with a big win, and I think that just proves that you cannot count this French side out. As we've said all the time, over and over, France can beat anyone on their day. The other match from that weekend, of course, was Canada and the United States of America. 41-23, the Americans winning a big match there over their arch rivals, the Canadians. That's a great game. Those two just go at each other like absolute hammer and tong out there. It's a great rivalry between these two sides. So we'll move forward now to this weekend, where I did manage to catch a few of the decent games over the wee small hours here in New Zealand of Saturday night, Sunday morning. Honourable mentions to a couple of games I didn't manage to see. Japan thrashing Uruguay, backing up from that 30-8 win last weekend to thrash them 40-0. Another game which I did see a bit of near the end was the Barbarians match up against Samoa. Now, this was an interesting match for many reasons. We all know the Barbarians, a team full of players, especially Australians, who are chomping, at the chance to get into this Wallaby side, trying to show exactly what they have missed out on after being left out. The likes of Liliafano, Naivaro is another one, Liam Gill, there's plenty of names in there, Ben Robinson and Sia Fa'anga, that have missed out on the Wallaby side. And, well, it was against Samoa, and this is also interesting for the Samoan point of view, as how they would take the chance of being against a top-rate side. Like this Barbarians team on paper was, they're a very good side and capable of absolutely destroying any international side. Like, this was a great team from the Barbarians. The final score was 27-24 to the Barbarians, but what went on between minute 0 and 80 was a lot more than that scoreline represents. A red card to Kane Thompson in the 16th minute. Also saw Fa'anga get a yellow, the first of 2. We also seen one in the 71st minute to Patrick Fa'apali as well, off the bench, who saw 10 minutes. Well, he saw the rest of the match in the bin at that point, but it was a try-fest, 17-all at half-time, and I have to say, disappointment coming from the Samoan side of things. I thought their kicking game was horrible. It was tragic almost. They struggled to really put any pressure on from the chances of kicking. Exiting their own 22 was where they really struggled, and an immense lack of discipline, which I thought was something that Samoa had progressed past. I thought they had developed into a top-tier nation full of professional players. Not a top-tier nation, I'll take that back. A professional nation full of professional players who wouldn't get into that niggly sort of stuff that saw them do silly things. Good thing, though, I see from the Samoans is they haven't lost any of their aggression. Some massive hits coming in on the Barbarians, just absolute crunches throughout that game. And in the end, things did fall apart a bit. the second yellow card going to Simon Fa'apali, and the Barbarians had the lead, and they were just happy to play it out as well. Lots of tries. We had Adam Thompson, who got 2, Liam Gill 1, and Ben Tapawai with a double as well for the Barbarians. Lealiafano, well, probably didn't do himself too many favours off the boot, just getting 1 of 5 shots at conversions. No penalties either for the ex-Wallaby, you could say. As for Samoa, they got 3 tries, so did well to keep in touch. Perenisi got a try, Ken PC and Ben Lamb. Tusi PC got 2 conversions and a penalty. Tim Nana Williams getting 1 conversion as well. So something you probably wouldn't expect from these two sides. Samoa relying on the kicks. The Barbarians, well, you do expect it from them, don't you? Just getting tries. That's what the Barbarians do, and it's what they do very well. Plenty of, I guess, disappointed players in there who missed out on Rugby World Cup squads. But that is the Barbarians, and that was a look back on some matches from the weekend. But the big ones from the weekend we'll have a look at now, and it's kicked off at about 1:30 in the morning for me to watch Ireland hosting Wales. Now the two sides met a couple or 3 weeks ago, I think it was, when it was Ireland who, well, let's be fair, I did see some of that game too, absolutely destroyed Wales 35-21, and that game was over before half-time, where, Wales had nothing to show for. Ireland were running away with it. Sure, it was B teams, it was, widest training group squads, but still, this one, though, was the best they could both offer, and I was really hoping to see what Wales could offer, because a lot of people I've been talking to are writing Wales off, which I think is a huge mistake in that pool of death. Alongside England and Australia, I just don't think you can write Wales off. So the game got underway. Aviva Stadium, fantastic stadium that it is as well. Ireland at home, the crowd was huge, and they were vocal as well. And Ireland, on the back of that, got a fantastic start as well. They were off to possession. They are charging forward. They had a couple of good chances from the boot of Johnny Sexton as well. And they looked good, and they looked all over Wales from the early stages, but don't discount Wales out. It's my thoughts all along here, and Wales did battle back. They started to build their way into the game about 15 minutes in, after Ireland really dominated for the first 10 minutes at least. Chanceless for Wales, getting very little time out of their own half. But it was a very tough match. Ireland were controlling things at that point, and at the breakdown, the rucks and the mauls, everything, Ireland were hammering. They were destroying Wales when it came to the rucks, retaining possession very easily and blowing away any flankers, any trying to get the ball for the Welsh side. And it was doing them well. Ireland are going very nicely, and until about the 20th minute, it really took Wales to get into that game. They started showing some chances. They started retaining some possession. They started making some breaks in tight, and that's when the scales started to tip, and they were going very much in the opportunities, keeping the ball in their forwards as well. Just a couple of minutes after that, I think something that probably is a bit, what you'd expect from these kind of matches, teams going for touch over the 3 points. I don't think that's something we're going to see from Wales in the Rugby World Cup, but they did it in this match. They chose to go for touch with a real good opportunity, and they were mauling a lot. They were using their forwards, and they were starting to gain control, which was a huge part for the Welsh to get control over this match and really get it in the forwards as well. They mauled it up. They mauled it up again. They went to the line out, mauled it up again. They got another penalty, went to the corner, mauled it up again. And finally, after about 4 or 5 rolling mauls from a line out or from, a structured play, the try finally come, and it went to Tipuric. Wales keeping it tight, and what can you say, but that was the start of a fantastic night for Justin Tipuric. He was outstanding, and that was just the first part of what was a fantastic night for Tipuric. So Wales completely dominated from that point on. That was it. That click when they got that try, that constant domination at the forward pack, and they were really on top of the game. A complete turnaround from half an hour beforehand when they were massively pinned down in their own half for a good 10 minutes. So they were on top of things. Wales were dominating, and I think Ireland were being let down by the lack of creative ability of Jonathan Sexton. Now, I haven't seen a huge amount of Johnny Sexton. We know he's one of the best around the Northern Hemisphere region. Arguably, I'm sure a lot of English or Welshmen may have something to say about that. But I think he was pretty predictable. The wraparound against his inside centre or his scrum half or something, whoever was outside him, how many times do we see that from Sexton? Also the crossfield kick. Many crossfield kicks. Sure, they did come off, one or two of them in the end, but boy oh boy, is that a tactic they're going to hold into the Rugby World Cup? I certainly hope not. Not that often anyway. Sexton needs to develop some more variety to his game. The wraparound worked nicely. I guess it created an overlap on a couple of occasions, but I just think he needs some more than that. I just hope that wasn't the whole textbook for Rugby World Cup plays from Sexton. He still played pretty well, but I expect, from what we've had over the last 2 seasons from Sexton, I expect a top echelon kind of performance. I think he is one of the top number 10s going around the world, and I think the repetitiveness of what we've seen from him was a bit disappointing, but I'm sure that won't be what we see come crunch time for the Irish and Sexton in the game. So the half led on quite a long time, as well as Ireland got a late and long period of possession in the Welsh half as well, and it was a lucky try that they ended up getting right at about 2 or 3 minutes after the half-time buzzer. It was Henderson who pulled it in for the Irish. Ian Henderson, the second rower, I mean, he carried a few players over the line, just stretched it out, and just got it on the white line. And at that point, Wales dominated a long period of that match, and I think that Henderson try really hurt the Welsh, because they were up, 10-3 at that point. One penalty and a converted try, and Ireland getting that try right under the sticks at that point really hurt the Welsh big time. That went into halftime, the two teams all tied up at 10-all, but I was impressed, especially by Wales. I was impressed because they had been written off, and I think they're a better team than what people were giving them credit for. Their backline, I think Jamie Roberts had a lot to prove in that game, and he was fairly solid, very strong running, especially in the second half where the Welsh really needed him. Halfpenny, well, second half, Halfpenny come to the party as well, which we'll have a look at now, but 10-10 at half-time, and I think Wales, this is good. They're showing they can compete with the best sides. Let's be fair, Ireland, number 2 in the world here, and Wales need to show that they are up with the best if they're going to compete in this pool of death at the Rugby World Cup. So, into the second half we go, and the Welsh defence and just their control at the breakdowns were all that was keeping them in that game. Ireland had a huge pile of possession and territory that almost could have, against any other side almost, got them a couple of tries. Long periods where they were in the 22, really knocking on the door, but the Wales defence was outstanding, and they competed at the breakdowns, and they got penalties to escape. Ireland come hanging back again, and the Welsh just kept tight. They held on, and they defended extremely well in the second half, and I think that is what they need to put down to the win. That single-handedly is what gave them the win. That defence for a good portion of that first period, the first quarter of the second half, you could say. Once again, we go to Tipuric. Outstanding try-saving strip we seen from him along that same period. Ireland looked like they were over. Tipuric somehow ripped the ball out of the ball carrier and flung it in, just knock on, is what was called in the end. He was over the line. Big pile of bodies. It just personified the match that Tipuric was having from the Welsh side of the pack. Open side, still no Warburton there for the Welsh, and he was outstanding. He's booked himself a spot across to England for the World Cup as well. We went near the hour mark, and I think the game opened up quite substantially after that. There was some big breaks from both sides. The kicking duel was actually, for a change, fascinating, as the kicks were exchanged, big run chases after the others, and they were just making line breaks. Defences on both sides of the teams were just shattered. They were just broken up, and just like a big crumbled cookie all over the park. They were just holes everywhere. The teams were breaking. They're not making turnovers, running back, breaking the line, kicking high, chasing. Another thing to say about that, the high balls from both teams were diffused extremely well. I was especially impressed by the two Carney boys. Dave Carney and Rob Carney were exceptional under the high ball. Took a lot of really contestable chances from the Welsh as well. So that is something that Ireland will definitely take to the bank. They also got a late injury, well, to Keith Earls. Didn't look too bad in the way he went off. Was that just a front? I'm not too sure. Haven't heard much more about that. But Keith Earls went down, and really that was a worry, I think, because he's surely in the World Cup squad for the Irish as well. Hopefully for them, he will get back and better for the rest of that game. It was the chance that come after that that really decided the game, I think. The kicker goal from Lee Halfpenny. He was exquisite from the tee. He got every single kick, 3 penalties and a conversion. He kicked them into the lead after Earls went out just after the hour mark, and he put them in the lead. 13-10, first scoring play after the halftime break. It took a long time. Ireland were really struggling at this point. They're giving away a lot of penalties in the rucks. I think this was a complete contrast turnaround where, you know, from the very start of the match, Wales built in and they did dominate the breakdown after a while. And going late into this game, they were controlling, getting penalties all over the place, and Wales were in control on the scoreboard. And thanks to their defence and their control over the breakdown as well, they had good control over the match as well. Ireland was struggling and they were getting desperate. They were down by 3 and they really needed something to pull themselves back into the match. There was just a couple of minutes left in the game. Ireland had possibly their biggest chance of the game to win it. All the subs were on, the benches were both empty, and this was it, do or die for Ireland. Wales had added another penalty onto their score, and it was 16-10. Time was ticking out inside the 22 in Ireland. A huge chance to win the match. They went left and right. They went through their forwards. They opened up to the backs. They kept it tight again. They tried everything possible. The retention was phenomenal from Ireland. It looked like surely they would get over. They did indeed go over. But Lee Halfpenny, is he back? We haven't seen a huge amount from Lee Halfpenny internationally lately, but he made the try-saving, holding the ball up off the ground as Ireland nearly, oh so nearly, went over. There was just seconds to go. 5-metre line out. They drove to Ireland, then they put it out to a ball runner who went crashing through right in front of the sticks. Was it a try? Was it not a try? TMO upstairs come back conclusively. Lee Halfpenny had saved the day for Wales, and that was held up, and that was full time. 16-10, the full time score, and I had to say at that point, I was like, wow, Wales are back. Do not underestimate this Welsh side. Australia, England, do not underestimate Wales. I had a feeling the Welsh are going to come good, and I think this is the perfect time to show and say, we are Wales and we are back. Ireland, they have some questions to ask as well. They really dominated the Welsh a couple of weeks ago, but now, number 2 in the world, they have to stand up and say, there's a reason why we are that ranking number. We are one of the best sides, 6 Nations champions back to back. There's no fluke in that. Ireland, this is a big hurting loss for them, and I think Wales is going to be the opposite. This is huge for Wales. Scoreless in the second half for Ireland as well. That was the full-time score. I thought from that match, Wales deserved to win it as well. They dominated for huge portions of that match. They dominated the forward pack for probably a good, 65, 70 minutes of the game. Ireland got lucky with that try right on the break. It could have been pretty messy had they not got that. A Tipperick man of the match. You go through the rest of them. Geordie Murphy, I thought, played very well for Ireland as well. The Carneys were very good. Luke Fitzgerald and Robbie Henshaw were pretty decent as well. The centre pairing against Jamie Roberts, who I thought was very strong in the second half. Sexton needs to add a few more tricks to his bow. I'm sure he's got plenty up his sleeve for the Rugby World Cup. I thought the forward battle between McGrath, Strauss and White up against Jenkins, Owens and Francis was very good to watch. I thought that was a big battle. I think Wales come out on top in the end. Jenkins was superb, the veteran. He did control a lot of that match from his position with the big number 1 on his back. Ian Henderson was brilliant for Ireland as well. Paul O'Connell, his last match on Irish land was a fairly decent one as well. Edelman Jones had a bit of a knock later on as well. Hopefully he's a big part of how Wales will play. All in all, a great match between the two sides. I think Wales very much deserved to win that one. We move on to our second game of the night, and while it was going on, the Barbarians game was on too. So I had 3 games going. I mean, I've only got 2 monitors. I couldn't do much else about this. It was hard to watch for a while there to keep track of what was going on in 3 rugby games. Who schedules this stuff? I mean, come on. Give us a chance to watch all the games. I mean, stay up till 4 a.m. to watch this rugby. It was well worth it, a good night's rugby. So the second game I tuned into at the same time was Scotland versus Italy. Now, there was just a 4-point difference between the two sides just a week ago when they met. This time, I thought Scotland really, if they're going to be a threat at this Rugby World Cup, they need to step up. And, well, I was hoping to see a decent match between these two sides, and I think I wasn't disappointed as well. It was at Murrayfield, the home of Scottish rugby, and there was a brilliant game on hand as well. The Scottish were gifted a lot of early chances, a lot of ball as well from Italian mistakes, and really that summed up the whole match for my sort of thing. Russell got the first try underway with a sensational little chip kick across over to Sean Lamont, who scored the first try. Now, you know, this was all built on the back of mistakes from the Italian, and the Azzurri had no chance of really combating that. Lamont was completely open, and he just, well, trots into the corner to grab himself the opening try. The scrums I thought were huge. Italy, a country who prides themselves on having a good forward pack and a good scrum as well, were getting absolutely destroyed by Scotland. Absolutely destroyed. No chance for them at all. They were getting carted, penalised over and over again. It was, you know, just complete dominance from the Scots, who had everything going their way. You know, Dickinson, Ford and Nell were the starting front rowers. They were outstanding, and they carved up for Scotland, and Italy just had no chance. The attack line of the Scots I was watching was very flat. Is that a tactic against the Italians that they've implemented into their game, that they were running very quickly onto their ball, flat passes, flat attacking lines, they were banging straight into the defence as well. It was working against Italy, but I question that tactic against the better sides, you know, the likes of an Ireland, an England and Australia for that matter, if they can get away with that against them. The Scots, though, they were playing to win this game. I think after the scare they may have got against Italy last week, they really had to back themselves, and it was Laidlaw who was taking everything he could, being the captain and the goal kicker. Any 3-point opportunities given to him, he was taking. He ended up with 4 penalties as well from his time out on the pitch. The Italians got them all off a penalty, which they kicked to the corner, and this was a very strange try that they got here. It was shipped into the end goal from Tommaso Allen, and then the ball took a couple of deflections. One of the Scottish defenders went for it, hit another one on the shoulder, bounced up in the air. It was a lucky try, let's be fair. It was a really lucky try. Campagnaro got it, the outside centre. It was a good try for Italy, and you know, that brought them back into this match as well. I mean, Scotland were taking the shots at goal, and Italy was struggling, and they had no points on the board. They got that try, and they started to battle back into the game. I was like, wow, is Italy going to come back? You know, they got close last week. Is this their chance to get back in here against the Scots, who were looking dominant, completely dominant until that? Well, let's be completely real here. It was a fortunate try, a fortunate bounce of the ball, but an opportunity taken nonetheless from a very dodgy chip kick into the in-goal area from Allen. After that, it was bad news though, as Minto got a yellow card, and this really killed off the fight back from the Italians. The open side flanker got 10 minutes in the bin, messing about around a maul. It's just a messy place on the mauls. He got sent off for 10 minutes, and I think that really killed the Italian fight back. After that, the Scots got back in the game, and a debatable try whether this was actually grounded or not, but it eventually went through to the man Barkley, the open side flanker, John Barkley, who dotted down, again went to the TMO. I thought it wasn't grounded. I didn't actually see anywhere in there that it was actually grounded. I was writing down no try, but a good chance taken from the Scots, but then it was given a try, so I slapped myself with a wet fish and scribbled out the no try, and wrote try Barkley. It was a good try as well, and that really continued the game back where it was before the Campagnaro try for the Scots. And then at half-time, something very strange happened here. Scotland with the ball, and looking up at the time clock, it said 40 minutes, so I was kicked out until the referee said line out, as the teams both were halfway off the pitch, jogging into the tunnel, and he's like, get back here, we're taking a line out. The time is not up, even though the clock said it was. It was a bizarre thing, and it makes me go back to those times when, you know, things like that, silly mistakes like the sprinklers going off in the Barbarians match during the game. I mean, how does that stuff happen? I mean, really, come on. You should sort that stuff out. It's half-time or it's not half-time. It says 40 minutes up on the clock. The ref should say 40 minutes as well. It's just one of those things that will never completely be ironed out. It's going to cost the team some points. I mean, after that, Italy did get the line out, and they took a chance, and they were really galloping upfield as well, playing with a huge amount of passion, but couldn't quite get the points that they were after. It would have been a real kick in the guts for the Scots had they got their points, got a try possibly from that line out Italy. But anyway, that was half-time. It was almost a try right at the buzzer for the Italians, but it was in the end 23 points to 7. Scotland doing the job easily at the moment. A good lead, but Italy showing glimpses. I think they need to show a lot more from their time against someone like Scotland, who they should back themselves to beat, but it was looking bad for them at this point. The second half carried on much how the first went for the most part as well. Opportunities for Scotland, a set play line out, a massive pass from Finn Russell flying over the Italian defenders straight into the hands of Tim Visser, who slides in for an early great try, and then that just really put another nail in the coffin of Italy. It was a well-played move, but it was a beautiful pass from Finn Russell, who I rate as one of, you know, who could be a great Scottish player over his career, and is going to be a big name in World Rugby, and hopefully he can lift Scotland to decent levels over the future as well. Scotland still continued to accumulate points after that point. Even though they had a try, they were up by over 20 points, and they were happy to take the penalty goals. You know, Laidlaw was still going to kick him over. The Scots were dominating every facet of the match, really dominating in the forwards as well. Things carried on to get bad to worse for the Italians as another try was built up, an intercept try for Sean Lamont. You know, it was defensive pressure that led to it, short passes between forwards. Lamont read it like a book, straight through and bang, he was gone. Away goes Lamont, and he gets another try, all down to defensive pressure. That was his second as well. They should be pretty pleased. They should be beating a team like Italy, especially leading into a Rugby World Cup like this. It was a good match from the Scots, and it's a good showing heading into the World Cup. I thought Laidlaw was fantastic as he made his way off the pitch. He directed the team very well and kicked extremely well as well. A yellow card pretty much ended the contest again as Rizzo got sent his marching orders. There was not much riding on this match anymore, and then Visser, intercept try, 90 metres, bang, he's gone, another intercept try. Well, you can't blame the Italians for trying things, but they were really doing everything they could. It wasn't coming off. Visser read them like a book once again, and away he goes. Then, just a few minutes later, Bennett went running away. A full coast-to-coast try. Try line to try line. It was a massive run. A kick deflected, bouncing up, going all over the place. Pinned the ears back, and he was gone. It was a sensational try in the 81st minute. The game was over. The Italians were spent. It just did not go their way at all. The final score being 48 points to 7. What more can you say about that? Complete domination from the Scots over Italy, and that really summed up the game. Italy just weren't in it, apart from that little period after Campagnaro scored that try. That was all they really had to celebrate from that game. As for Scotland, 3 intercept tries, 2 intercept tries, a couple for Lamont, a couple for Visser, the wingers, Bennett and Barkley with the other 2. It was a good performance. I think everyone played well. Stuart Hogg added himself into the back line at good times. He was hard to bring down. He ran very good lines as well. Sean Lamont, 2 tries, can't question him. Mark Bennett played well as well. Peter Horn, didn't see much from him. Visser, 2 tries. Finn Russell directed the play very well, and he's got great experience inside him from Greg Laidlaw. Into the forwards, and as I said before, the front row was outstanding, and you can't say much more. When you control a match like they did, you credit the likes of Wilson, Barkley and Denton, 6, 7, 8, who did very well in controlling that game from the back. As for Italy, I think they've got plenty to work on here. There was bad discipline. I think Luke McLean made some bad decisions from fullback for them. I think Tommaso Allen was pretty good from fly half. Sato and Marissi played pretty well as well. I thought Campagnaro got the try, but there was not much we've seen from him. In the forwards, I think they were really found out. They just got outplayed. Ball retention didn't go their way. The yellow cards, of course, 20 minutes down to 14 men makes it a real struggle. And a margin of 41 points will not be what the Italians were looking for from their World Cup build-up campaign. It was an entertaining match. It was a good match as well. Enjoyable to watch. And Scotland should be well pleased with how they went. And that is my review of the weekend. Great win for Wales to really shake things up for the internationals heading into the Rugby World Cup. Scotland showing that they know how to win games as well and score tries, which is something I've heard complimented a lot about the new coaching regime for the Scots. They play attractive rugby, they score tries, and they're aggressive and attacking, which is great news for Scotland, who have some real talent, Russell and Hogg are going to be key to how they play out as well. If they can get some good performances out of the likes of Bennett and Lamont, who are X-Factor key players as well for them, and their forward pack needs to be on target as well. But that is my time for today. A little look at the few matches I watched over the wee small hours of Saturday night, Sunday morning. I hope you enjoy this little insight, and let me know what you think, of course, about the matches in the weekend. If you watched them, if you agree or disagree, if you think someone was a standout, I'm always keen to have a chat and have a bit of a discussion about what happened and what you think as well. Always interesting to see other people's viewpoints on the games and performances. Seeing things from a different angle is always interesting and something I'm always keen to see from everyone out there who's listened into this one and seen what we thought of these games. So that is my time for today. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Hopefully we've got some more matches coming up next weekend as well. I think France is back involved against Scotland, I think, from memory. That'll be a pretty big game as well for the coming week. In the next 7 days, what have we got next weekend? We have plenty more action coming your way. In the first weekend of September, we have on the Saturday England versus Ireland. Canada are playing Fiji as well. That'll be interesting from those sides. We have Wales versus Italy, France and Scotland. That is the one. And of course, the Americans up against Australia. I'm interested to see how that one goes as well for the Wallabies. But that is my time for today. I've said that a couple of times already. Thank you for tuning in and watching. If you enjoy these little chats over the weekend's performances, let me know by giving the video a thumbs up. And of course, if you're new around here, subscribe to the channel and you can have your say in the comments as well. And I'll see you all next time for more rugby, team namings, weekend reviews, matches as well. Plenty of those coming up. So until then, thanks for watching and take care.